that's cool. I'll just like
Yeah,
face
that's cool, man.
dope.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube? It's SEL0320 representing JVS. So this is the first and hopefully not the last, because I really want to talk about this anime, and like it brings me so much joy. And these two guys here are big fans. Some of them have read the manga, some of them are just reading it and watching it as is. What's going on, you guys?
What's up? What's up, everyone? Thanks for coming out to the live stream. Thank you for having me, Sam. This is I'm Failwhale34, and I react to My Hero Academia and do some topic videos and reviews on it. So yeah, glad to be here.
Yes. Yeah, thanks for being here.
No worries, bro.
Sam, always a pleasure. Drunk Geek Anthony here. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about this episode, man. I can't wait. I've been waiting. You gotta catch up.
I've been waiting.
If you guys haven't told by now, we're talking about My Hero Academia, one of the best animes right now to me to date. I'm so in love with this anime, and there's so much behind it and so much weight behind it that this episode, fair to say, all of us feel the same exact way. This is one of the most inspirational anime episodes we've seen. And so I was gonna, I guess, pick you guys' brain. What did this episode mean to you guys, and how did it make you feel? Because I had a broad range of emotions throughout.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you, purely based off of reaction from personal friends. After this episode aired, I got 5 FaceTime calls from different people, and each of them, I actually took screenshots. Each of them had a crying face on and said, "Yo, bro, I just cried." So that's how it made a lot of us feel, I'd say, myself included. It was a wild episode.
Absolutely. What about you, Anthony?
So I also I introduced people to anime with this series, right? Because there's so much to latch onto. Like if Naruto's evolution of Dragon Ball, I think this is the evolution of Naruto.
Wow.
And I think that when I've read the manga, like, so this chapter, what I've seen this scene almost like, I want to say a year ago, maybe almost a year, something like that. And I thought I was prepared for it, right? When you add that music and that depth and some of the things that went on there were some things that even changed. And I had tears in my eyes, man. And then when people were like, oh my dies. It's like, no, you understand where the emotion comes from here. And I don't know, like I felt it. My heart swelled. I think I texted to you, Sam, the minute I saw it. I was like, my heart is swelling with emotion right now. and my eyes, I had to avert my eyes from people like, what you crying for, man? Like, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Oh my God. It's like the end of an era, like we were talking about before. It's like if you saw Muhammad Ali's like final fight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought I was prepared for it. It's kind of like when you read Game of Thrones, and I knew the red button was coming, but when you see it,
Yeah.
So that's my feelings.
Nah, that's so real, man. I went back to I don't want to quote Dragon Ball, but when Dragon Ball Z, the Buu saga, when Vegeta like literally unleashed everything that he had to try to stop Majin Buu, like I got emotional during that. But this, it was just so much more deep, so much more broad. Like he gave everything he had, and I'm talking about All Might. And we're gonna get into that. And any of you guys that have any questions, please leave them in the chat. We'll try to go over them as quick as we can, because we don't want to let this draw on too long. But All Might sacrificed everything. It was crazy because throughout the episode, you could feel the tension just building. It's a testament to the story. It's a testament to the writing and the way that they do build up, the way that, like you said, the music, the ambiance of the fact that if this man loses, they lose everything. Like the world literally loses its grasp on, can, good overcome evil? And it was like, to me, it was the embodiment of that. But what did you think about, I guess, All Might in this episode? What did he resonate with you, for you guys?
So heroes seldom think they're heroes, right? Seldom think they live up to the legend surrounding them. Kind of like that guy that took the gun away from that guy in the Waffle House. He's like, I'm not a hero, right?
Yeah.
And he's thinking about his failures and things. There's some changes they have from the translation if you watched it dub versus the actual translation of what he was saying. But when they did that, and you see where, and they actually went back and you showed what his goal was, and we're seeing, like I said, we're seeing Naruto become Hokage. Like he is what he set out to be. And what really touched me in one of those moments was there was a woman trapped in debris behind them, and you think she'd be saying like, "Help me, All Might," but she wasn't. She was like, "Win, All Might," and it was kind of like one of those moments where it's like, he is the hope that he sees a symbol of peace. He's the hope, and they earned it. They earned that emotion because they've told us what he is, and we've seen what he is. Even people that hate him, even people at Endeavor who can't stand him because he can't reach them, he's still like, no, show him why you're my, why you're better. Show him why. Like in the original translation, like, what's this weak form? Show him. And it's like, yeah, man, that whole thing, and the fact he was fighting for more than himself. Like, in the original translation, he was talking about he was talking about how Deku didn't have control of himself. You're a terrible teacher. And he's like, no, and I can't die until I instruct him better. I am a failure teacher. I can't die until I get him. And the English translation was something like, you can't control him. You're a failure as a teacher, which I think lost something in that translation.
That's good. That's really good. What about you, Michael?
Touching on like what I thought about
All Might. I guess everything about his sacrifice and the way that it kind of went out. I mean, this is our first time really seeing his origin, so to speak. You know, like, the way they began it, I was kind of like just getting emotional. I was like, "Is this man gonna make it?" I didn't know. There was nothing in this episode that let me believe that he was gonna make it out of this alive. I didn't. I really didn't.
Speaking on if it was better if he died or not, I actually think it's better. It's even a little more evil that he survived and he beat the villain, because we learned from the hero killer Stain what happened when the heroes won. It just perpetuated this evil, this sort of, this doctrine of evil for all these people to come to and flock to. Now that, All For One's beat, something similar is probably going to happen where we see these villains have a more hope. And if anything, their last shield, the symbol of peace, is gone. So Deku's going to have to start drinking some milk or some shit.
Right.
Because he's not ready for all the smoke he's about to catch.
And it's easy for us to go, he died, right? He died in glorious combat.
Exactly.
What's harder is a soldier or a hero that has to survive the with the scars, right? With the trauma and his struggle for the last 5 years and his self-image and All Might, even in his weakest, because we've only known him in his weakened state, right? We've only known him in his weakened state. But even in his weakened state, he has been more than enough to handle any situation people couldn't handle, right?
Yeah.
That you get used to that responsibility. It's like that quote from Don King is like, how you gonna tell they say I should tell Muhammad Ali he shouldn't fight no more. How you gonna tell God that he can't make the sunrise no more? Like, how you going, what I mean? How you gonna live with that? Live with that limitation. Like,
so like for one of that reasons alone, like getting this sort of side of All Might, even once he yelled no in like that desperation 2 episodes ago, I knew that this was going to be some next level stuff right here. And speaking of All Might, the fantastic writing and narrative, getting his master's point of view, seeing him literally at the beginning of his journey, and we see the execution of the end of it. It was just such an emotional, wild ride. It really does like touch on your heartstrings a bit. And he went out with everything he had, using the United States of Smash. His boy said, forget Delaware, forget Detroit. He said, I'm getting all the states. Let's do this shit.
Did y'all find yourself cheering for All Might? Did y'all find yourself cheering?
Oh yes.
Like, you can do it.
100%. Like for example, the when you mentioned that, instead of the woman in the rubble saying, "Oh, help me," being selfish, she said, "Forget me. You need to win," because it literally was a do or die moment. It was literally like, if you win, you save everyone. If you lose, the world's over.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like you have a security about how the world works, right? In their world, All Might wins, right? All Might is the barrier between stuff. It's kind of like if you have, like, we've had terrorist attacks in our country, and it kind of felt like our world crumbled because that doesn't happen here, right? And in their mind, it's like, no, you gotta, no, All Might can't lose. Like, All Might, even the other top heroes are like, no, you can't lose. You ever read the DC versus Marvel comic miniseries or whatever?
No, I don't think I did.
There's a part where Thor gets knocked out, and everybody stops like, whoa. you don't do that to Thor. And they all like, and it's like, it's kind of like, moment like, whoa. Like, Endeavor's even like, look, I don't even like you.
He's like, chill. No, exactly.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't help but cheer, man. Like, I think that what got me honestly really emotional, that was going to be my segue to ask you guys, what scene really got your emotional strings? For me, like, it was watching everybody rally behind him, like from Gran Torino, the girl, Endeavor, like having his Vegeta moment, but yet and still is like, you have to do this. Watching Bakugo and Deku cheering on All Might, I was like, I'm getting emotional. Like, I can't deal with this. Like, even if he dies or wins, like, I legit was just overcome with all these different kind of emotions because, like you said, that was it. Like, either he won or he lost. Like, it was no options there. And he had to go within himself to go back to the basics, you know, to recount who he was, his own origin, motivating him to push everything he had out. And, like, the whole entire time.
Plus Ultra. He had to go plus Ultra.
Literally.
No, like, legit. Like, he actually had to, because All For One was not letting up. Like, he was trying to destroy him emotionally. He was trying to disgrace him. He was breaking him down physically.
When he did
like,
that smile, he did his teacher's smile on her in his face.
Oh.
He mimicked his teacher's smile. I was like,
Once we touch All For One, like I got too many feelings about that dude, man. Oh my god. But did you say your favorite moment, Anthony?
So I think Endeavor's Vegeta moment, as Sam's coined it, like, I think that really touched me. But what really got me was, what was beautiful writing to me was your turn.
Yeah.
And seeing that message, I actually don't think it's just for Deku either. I think it's for Deku. I think it's for his generation for a lot of ways.
Facts.
Because if you think of that, Bakugan, like, he smiles no matter what's going on. Like, he smiles in adversity. You know, I think it's for his generation. I know it might mean special resonance for Deku, but I love that because the populace, they just say, yeah, my hero's like, you're next. Like, you guys are next. Who's coming up next? And they're like, no, he's saying that it's our turn now. We got to step up to hold up this pillar, you know.
100%.
And that moment, and I like that they're consistent. Like, Deku just starts crying. Bakugo's looking over because I think he's finally put two together. Like,
yeah.
I do too. I really do too.
But those are the things: the Endeavor moment and that your turn.
Facts. I think I agree with you with the you're next, but I think that's like a sort of a part two for me. There's a lot of things that I felt, but the one that really got to me was when he realized after he got roasted by All For One, he said, you know, Shigaraki is, you know, he just destroyed his integrity, his self-image in front of the public. Is when he said, you know what? When he realized I can't mess this up because of Midoriya. I messed up as his teacher. I need to go and be him for him. Like, he pulled like a dad for him. Like, he was like his father figure. He's like, I cannot let my son fail. Once I started getting those feelings and the guitar riff came in and he clenched his hand, I lost it. Oh my god. That was some beautiful writing, storytelling, and execution right there. Because,
you know, it was also beautiful, the fact that in any other anime so a lot of times we have fears. Like, we have fears that people know our true selves or know our true thoughts, that they're going to reject us, right? We have fears that we won't be accepted. Sam did a beautiful job because All Might's fear was, what would happen if the public saw me? What would happen if the public sees my weakened state? And when they were like, it doesn't matter, you're still our number one hero. I'm going to cheer for you no matter what. Like, you know, I mean, hey, man, pump some iron, drink some milk, like you said, but win this fight. We'll talk about it later. And they still cheer for him. Like, no one was like, oh, he's disgusting, or oh, he's not the Adonis we saw before. They were like, no, All Might, come on, man. Like, I love it. And it was earned. And it was earned because they've linked every other character to how they view the world through the lens that All Might's created for them, right?
It's true.
And they earned that.
They build the system of 1 to 0, or like, you know, to a million of ranking, this hierarchy. And once you have this number one hero, they always say he's the number one hero. They've sort of said it almost as like a joke almost. But when it actually comes to the dead serious moment, it's like, no, they're sticking to that logic. And they're sticking to that, you know, that understanding that he is the number one. So like you said, once the biggest thing pops up, everyone is just as you, bro. That's all you. Like, don't put 2 and 3 heroes here. It's just a number one. You deal with it. So I just love that.
Yeah. So I guess next segue would be All for One. Like, what do you guys think of him as a villain? As man, dude, he's just malicious, bro. But what do you guys think about him?
He is by far the most petty villain I have ever seen in history. He is so freaking petty. This man basically alluded to, I picked Shigaraki as my, my successor solely to spite you. If that isn't some petty shit, I don't know what is.
He said, what do you mean you don't believe it? Of course it's something I would do.
It's so real, bro. Like, he is just evil, bro.
I would do, right? Yeah. I mean,
yeah, like that was just some of the most evil, mind-bending shit I've seen. Speaking of that, he actually provides legitimate terror. Very often some villains, they'll have just some sort of like pseudo or some sort of like fake ambition and stuff. All for One is dead ass. His goal, he says, I've been dreaming of seeing your entrails on the floor. He went out and got his master's, grandson to be his mentor for evil. It's just what's I'm looking for the word.
Diabolical.
Diabolical, yeah.
I think the entrail thing, I think that was his trauma from All Might crushing his head before. I don't know, this is in the manga anywhere, but I think like All Might's entrails is spilling out, rushing towards him to still punch him. And I think that was his stubbornness that he was going back to. I'm not right. Go ahead.
No. All this is good. Just because I was actually going to go back to that reference too. And I literally said in my reaction, I was like, this dude is sickly evil. Like, it's a difference. Like, all right, you're going to do something out of spite. Like, he has been this kind of evil, especially when he started taunting him about, All Might's master. Like, he's like, oh, I killed her. I did all that, but I've hated you because of this, and it goes beyond just being a person of evil by choice. Like, he embodies evil. Like, he's the embodiment of evil. And it's crazy because I don't know how everybody else is going to deal with this kind of evil happening to them and then them not having somebody to rise to the occasion moving forward. But what did you have, Anthony?
I'm a big geek. Some of the story he's taken from other sources, and I don't know this, so this is a spoiler. I haven't read this in the other chapters or anything like that. But I just based on his writing, I bet you we don't have the full story of All for One, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of links to why people suddenly got their powers. I think that there's a reason, because you look at the little bits we got was he was building something, he was working towards something. Now it couldn't be just world domination, right? But he was actually hurt that his comrades got taken out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
He was compassionate enough to give his brother a quirk, even though his brother didn't have. He thought his brother didn't have one, which started this all one for all power. I think there's going to be just based on this guy's writing, I'd be very surprised if we didn't get another twist on this. Because, I know my differences on how morality and human motivation are different than a lot of people's. I honestly believe in good and evil. I think people have perspectives and motives, right? So even the main bad guys we've seen here have had a motive that we can kind of relate to, which kind of twisted them in a way. You know what I mean? And so I think that I'm very interested to see more about All for One's motivation, because we still haven't gotten that, right? We haven't gotten any world domination, right? We don't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
True. That's really true.
Sam, what did you think?
He trolled the fuck out of, I'm sorry, he trolled the hell out of out of All Might.
Oh yeah, he trolled him so hard. He said it took you 30 minutes or 30 seconds to get here. You've gone slow. Like,
yeah. And then when he used Midoriya's name,
he called him out, bro. He says, I see what you're doing. You don't think I see what you're doing? Oh my god, that was just fantastic, man. Oh, All for One is disgusting.
He is. Like, I love to hate him.
You know what?
I really do.
And you know what's great too is what we saw him in All Might, that sort of the dissing, him going really like sneaky and personal disses against him. That was him having fun. That was him like finding the person who beat you up 5 years ago and finally getting the time to talk with him in that short fight scene. But before that, when he's with Shigaraki and all this stuff, he's intelligent. He's very smart with how he calculates his things, and it was great to see that he's not just that all the time.
Voice, very
Yeah.
calm.
He knows exactly what he's doing, but he just sort of self-indulged a bit for that moment because he's waiting for it. So I love the perspective, the differences that we get to see out of him. So when he actually got that moment, we were extra scared because we know he's enjoying it and he's doing it because he really hates him.
Yeah, he's playing the long game. Like, he is methodical in and of his own nature. Like, as soon as he transported them back, like last episode, I was sitting there thinking, oh, he's gonna reprimand this man, like he's gonna get on him. He did. He's like, no, you have to keep trying. Just keep on trying. It's okay. Like, you'll be. I was like, what? What? This dude is legit a mentor for evil people, and he is sticking to those convictions, and that's what makes it so crazy.
And like at the same time, you're saying like he's evil, right? But you can see that he's genuinely like. It depends how you look at it, right? to Shigaraki, he came to him when no one else came. When All Might didn't save him, who was there? All for one. Who said you messed up? How many times and helps him even earlier on in the season 1, season 2, when he messed up? Don't worry, you'll get them next time. He's being that supportive role model for him. So when
It's like you failed me. Like, no. Dude, it's a maze. Left, right didn't work. Try right, left.
Yo, Anthony, I think you're a little muffly. I think you're blocking your mic or something.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good, fam. You're good.
I was just saying that he didn't do the Darth Vader pinch. He, he wasn't just killing people to just, you failed me. Like, no, like, dude, we all failed. It's okay.
Exactly. He's understanding, he's supportive and progressive. So you're like, oh, okay.
And he had that Hannibal Lecter calm voice the whole time, and like you didn't like this fight wasn't a fight with like crazy attacks left and right. It was really like 3 or 4 punches or 3 or 4 attacks that went on. And one thing I was going to point out is that if we noticed that 15 seconds with the USA smash, the United States smash, yeah, they had like 6 different animators animate those different 15 seconds. We got like all the experience. I feel like they gave their artists like, hey guys, you've all done great on this series. For this moment, go balls out. You each get this many seconds. Put all the styles you can in there because there's so many different styles in that 15 seconds.
Dude, yeah. That looked like those like animation cuts you see on YouTube where he'll mash and mix things. It was just, yeah, like you said, there's so many different art styles and like the transitions. It almost looked like it was disjointed, but it was just so epic.
Right. Yeah. It was amazing. It was because again, if you worked on this series, you could be like, hey boss, look, man, I just want to get that fight. Can I get a piece of that fight? And I felt like they gave us, I don't know how many different artists, it seemed like it was maybe at least 4 different styles there. It's probably more, but I don't know. It was amazing.
Yeah. Nah. So I guess I'll take it to the comment section because some of you guys have a couple questions. One person, I think Gariel said, what do you think Endeavor will be able to, do you think Endeavor will be able to live up to the #1 hero title? What do you guys think about it? I mean, I know, Anthony, you know a little bit more. But I mean, I think Endeavor's going to be kind of messed up over this. But what do you guys think?
I think, imagine if Vegeta became the top Saiyan because Goku got paralyzed in an accident, right?
Yeah.
It'd be like ashes in your mouth. It doesn't get, like, if you work that hard to be the best, you don't want it's kind of like Achilles and Troy. No, get up, Prince of Troy. No rock's gonna take my glory. Like, it doesn't mean anything if I don't beat you. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
If I don't. And one of the things I love, one of the things that meant so much to me in that episode was when he looked at all the things he had sacrificed to try to close that gap.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah. How do you think Endeavor's gonna take this? Is that what the question is?
Yeah, I mean, well, technically now he's the #1, like by default. Like, I mean, All Might can't do this anymore.
You know what? I think it's what we've seen of his character is he's somebody who is also sort of, I guess his methods are a little twisted. So he works really hard to get what he wants. He'll even go so far as to, have a bunch of kids just so he can make his offspring the best that he can. So I think he's probably going to take it kind of hard because he didn't work for it. He just got it by default, like you mentioned. And I also think, he might have to, take some time to adjust to that. I don't think he's ready for that, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have to ask him for pointers and things of that sort because, you get thrown into the position like that out of nowhere when you're not expecting it. you're not gonna know what to do.
Yeah, it's funny because he's getting exactly what he wanted, but at the same time, he didn't want it that way. And he has enough respect for All Might to know that he doesn't know if he can live up to that. You know, like it's just kind of, it got thrown into his lap. That's why he was trying to build his son up to be better than him.
Exactly.
So his son could get into that position. And I guess that segues into another question that somebody else put.
But just quickly, I think you mentioned a really good point. There's a difference between the number one hero and being the symbol of peace. What do people need more? A symbol of peace or another number one hero?
No, that's true.
That's a good point.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? So,
man,
because that's not who Endeavor is. Endeavor is a guy who's, you know, brooding and wants to get, you know, in the fight, and, you know, is sort of doesn't, if he doesn't want to do, he's not going to do it. So how does that kind of a person be the smiling?
He can win the fight, but can he inspire the world?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I mean.
That's good. That's really good. And it's funny because we know that Deku has that in him to be that, but he can't be just yet. I mean, he's got all these different other kind of physical limitations that, I mean, even from the last fight he was in, I don't even know if he should get into another fight. You know what I'm saying? Which I guess we'll go into that another week. But somebody has said, I'm curious how Shigaraki will move on from this. Literally, him and Deku are in the same situation now. And that's true.
Yeah.
Like, his mentor got beat. And it's like, yeah, All Might is no more technically, but now it's on him. So what do you guys think about Shigaraki moving forward? What is he gonna do?
To be honest, I think he's gonna be better than before. I think better than ever. If I had to guess.
So again, they haven't really addressed this in the manga, so I'm not trying to spoil. I'm not spoiling anything by saying this. I think that I'm curious whether All for One will become a martyr or a symbol to him. You know what I mean? To drive him more forward. I think that. So when I read this in the manga, right, this happened pretty freaking early. This happened pretty. Like, I knew something was going to happen to All Might eventually, but I thought we were going to get like a couple more years.
Yeah, bro. The pacing of the show is like they're literally going by like high school years, so they're taking their time.
So I thought it was going to be some Harry Potter stuff where, you know, on graduation, you know. but what was weird about that is that we weren't ready for All Might to go. We weren't, and Deku's not ready for All Might to go. The League of Villains isn't ready to exist without, you know, All for One. So it was great about that is because we are feeling, like we said before, we cheer for All Might. We are feeling like, oh, you guys are what? like what's going on? And also, All for One isn't dead. He's not depowered. He's locked up.
He's in a bit still.
Yeah, All Might is depowered, right? He did like the man said, leave him alone. He's doing his last job.
Yeah,
doing his last job. So I mean, imagine you're Deku and you're any of his class. You're any of his class. Like, all right, I thought we had time to prepare to step up to climb those ranks. Like,
they're in grade. They're literally in grade. I think 9 or 10, or they're just started the 10th grade.
I think they're just about to start the 10th grade because it's summertime, right?
Yeah.
The school the festival was the end of their year last year, right? So this is the new year, the 10th this year, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be the start of it.
So and I've heard from people that the manga isn't even that far ahead in terms of like the timing. No. So like I have a lot of friends who saw this episode and they got very excited. Like, okay, I can definitely see my hero going the length of Naruto and stuff. And I'm like, I can't even imagine how things are gonna go now, because if that's the case, then by the time we see Deku even coming near All Might, that's not happening for years.
Can I say a marker of where they are for next in the manga right now?
Yeah.
A marker.
Okay.
So we haven't gotten to the second sports festival yet. Like there's not another sport, like another sports festival hasn't happened yet.
What?
Yeah, so they're taking their time, man.
I mean, a lot of stuff has happened. A lot of stuff has happened, but we haven't gotten to the. We see other festivals, but we haven't got to another sports festival yet.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. So like,
a lot of stuff has happened though. Like I'm not saying there's weak milk up ahead, or weak sauce up ahead, but there's. I mean, I don't know. That's the timeline I've seen so far.
Nah, that's I can't really imagine that because there's so much that's going on right now, and like we still haven't dealt with the fact that Deku's hand is messed up, and is now his arm is at a place where, like, if he really gets into another brawl, like, what is he gonna do? Like, the injuries that he's already gotten as a young person, how does that translate to him as an adult? Like, I just don't, I don't know how this is gonna work.
Well, I'm gonna word this clearly though, but I like the fact that you don't just. I like the fact that you just don't. Oh man, you went through all these concussions and you're just okay. Like, no, your arm is messed up, man. Like, you can't keep breaking your arm.
Like, it's almost like how you were talking before we went live, how the show it does such a good job compared to other superhero stuff where there's actual repercussions and there's limitations to your abilities and powers, similar to how, you know, some heroes only have one ability, but they have to either they can work really, really hard and get up on there in the ranks, or they just have that ability with their, you know, their normal set of limitations. So like Deku, for example, great, he has one of the best powers in the world, but he's 15 years old, kind of skinny, and like he hasn't mastered yet, so he does break his arm.
Yeah.
Right. It's great how they use that, like you said the thing about Gus Genius. Like, he acknowledged that no, you don't have overwhelming power, you have skill and battle experience to reach that number 3 spot. I think it was 3.
I think it was like 3 or 4 or something like that.
And one thing I like about this series, like I said, the creator says he was really heavily influenced by Marvel Comics, and I can see that. Like, there's no overwhelming Superman, right? Like, All Might's really powerful for his world, but he's not Superman, you know, and he's not the Flash or anything like that. And so you have power, but there's a drawback, or you have to work really hard. So yeah, you know, Deku has the potential, and I'm going to say potential, to be stronger than All Might, right? Because of how their power works. But he has to work really hard. He starts at a 3, where everybody else in this class is the best of their generation type of stuff, right?
Yeah, and then also connects to something else too. I want to say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I like that you get injured. You get injured like that, you have some knee problems. Like, you can't shatter your knee, but you gain some experience after shattering your knee. So
what I would say is My Hero is from what we've seen, it's a very smart show in terms of the writing. Horikoshi knows what he's doing. So from what we've seen previously, you know, for example, with the full cowl, right? Deku is a smart character. He analyzes situations. He knows, well, if I'm so slow, how can I fix that? So for something like fuck my arm, sorry for swearing. If my arm keeps breaking, what can I do to fix that? So I think we can definitely see something happen in the near future where he's able to work around that, or it's an attachment or something. You know what I'm saying? I could definitely see Horikoshi do something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that now see, I do know this, but I guessed this before. Never mind. I'll shut up.
Yeah, don't say nothing, because we got like stuff coming out, like movies in between that's got stuff.
Yeah.
We're not talking about any of that here, so we'll leave it cut and dry.
Yo, Sammy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So you mentioned it briefly, and maybe the people in the comment section, you talk about this too. Where do you think Bakugo is at in his head? I know Anthony mentioned it, because there are very, very subtle things. But if we've noticed the past 5-6 episodes, Bakugo has been making very interesting facial reactions all the way up to when he got kidnapped. And I initially thought it was just like sort of like a weird, quirky thing they did for the anime. But I think he's starting to, as Anthony mentioned it, put things together. I think from the instant he realized that these villains are interested in him, and it sort of connects back to, you know, so why do they want to kill Deku? Why is All Might dying and Deku's bursting out in tears? You know, all these things. I think he's starting to realize, like, okay, there's something going on, and I think he's going to put it together soon.
Yeah. I definitely think that Bakugo is becoming self-aware. Like, he's been so intense and so self-absorbed and in himself that, like, he doesn't look at stuff on the outside. And it's like, for him to witness like Deku doing everything he could to try to save him at first, and then him telling Deku, no, stay away, him being captured by the villains, and even like when they got like attacked when they were in the woods in general, like, he had to get beyond himself and his ego and what he needed to be. And I think that he's just becoming a more well-rounded character and ultimately a better hero. But I think he is putting 2 to 2 together when it comes to Deku and with All Might and all of it. And I just don't know
how he's going to react to that.
I really don't know if he's going to move the route of, I'm going to continue to be Deku's rival, but we're all getting to the same finish line, because this is bigger than just me being the number one.
Mm-hmm.
This is something bigger than me. And if Deku has to be, it's like him taking that back seat that Vegeta makes with Goku. Vegeta has the potential of superseding Goku at this point anyway, but like he understands the value of what he needs to do to get this job done by any means necessary. And I think that Bakugo's coming into his own with that. Because I was worried Bakugo was honestly going to go to the villains. Like I legit, if you had told me last season that he got kidnapped, I was like, he might change. Like I really did.
So
Yeah.
a great thing again about the writing of this show, because a lot of people I've been showing this show to that don't know much about anime, were like, oh, that kid's gonna go bad, right?
Yeah.
That kid's gonna go bad because of where he's using anger and all.
He's not Sasuke. He's
right,
not.
right. But people assume that's what happens. That's in normal storytelling. That's where this goes, right? In classical storytelling, you would put money on, oh, this kid goes bad, right? Because he's not, he's whatever. But what I like about, especially, I think, really good writers in anime, a lot of times, like in Naruto, in Evergreen, things like that, they spend a lot of time understanding how trauma and emotions affect different kids, especially in these classroom settings. So if you think about where anger comes from, right? Anger is a defense. Anger comes when you're scared or you're trying to,
exactly,
up
bro.
in some way. And what if you look about what and this again isn't spoiler, but if you look about what he's scared of and what his goal was, another one of the best at this arc, one of the best moments was when the teacher got up and was like, when the Eraser was like, yeah, so the villains think they're gonna change him, they don't know this kid.
Exactly.
That was real.
Almost good luck, because he has one drive. He has one drive. He's to be the number one. Not the number one, not the most powerful, not to rule the world, not to he knows he's not the most powerful. He knows there's at least two other people that are stronger than him in the class, right?
Yeah.
His goal is to win like All Might and to be the number one hero. And F anybody else that, look, yeah, the smart thing would be like, I'm gonna play around with y'all, but I don't do anything I don't want to do. Like,
exactly. And I'm really interested in seeing, because what you mentioned, the show is so smartly written that like the character's mental health and their mental state is something that I think actively goes into the writing, like you said with Bakugo. And how is he going to react if he thinks I'm going to be the number one hero? I want to be like All Might, because he clearly is a good kid at heart. He just has a lot of issues, and I think that he suffers from. And I think, how would he react to the kid that he hates? Is connected to the number one hero who he wants to be.
But think about this. You guys have already seen it. Why do you think he dislikes Deku?
I think that episode where they fought for the very first time, he was talking and it was like something along the lines of like, you're trembling in your boots, you're outmatched. I know that I can beat you. I have more ability than you, but yet you're still standing here in spite of your inability to be able to really win this. Like, you have more drive and more in it than I do. And he doesn't have that yet. And he has that tenacity, he has that ability, he has that natural ability, but there's something about Deku inside that he just can't shake. And it messes him up, and at the same time it inspires him to be better. I think that's the more interesting focal point about this, that it makes the show so much more endearing and so well written. I love this anime, man. Oh my gosh.
They're definitely good rivals. They're probably some of the best rivals we've seen written in anime. Like, to how to push each other. But I mean, if you go back to it, him and Deku were cool up until he fell and Deku tried to help him when they were kids, when they were tight, right? And that changed their relationship, right? That changed a lot of it. And then just the frustrating part that this kid was a zero and now he's up to where he is.
Facts. Yep. So like,
I'm trying to. Was there a line where All Might tried to? I think this happened already. Where All Might was like, it's easy to go from like 0 to to 30, but if you already started at 29, your progress is a little different. Like, he said something like that.
He did say that. Yeah, I think he said
that. Wow, man. Yeah.
And that's the Sasuke thing right there. Remember that scene where he finally realized Naruto has been catching up to him when they did the water tank thing or whatever?
Yeah, he was cheesed.
And he tried to walk away in this broody mood, like, I gotta beat this up. What the? Like, and he saw the back of it was blown out.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of drive there, and the scene was, I don't know. I like how they're all even the friendly people are rivals. Like, no, I respect you. I mean, we're still rivals, but
Exactly.
Yeah. Somebody asked a very good question that's been really bothering Jum, and I realized that this is a really big problem ultimately, is when the kids got found out when they went to the summer retreat. And the question is, like, within the realm of the heroes, who is the mole? Who's the person that's the mole that's leaking all this information? Anthony, you might already know, but has it been bothering you as much as it's been bothering me, you guys?
Know. I do not know.
Wow.
It hasn't been bothering me, to be honest, because they don't really pay attention to it. It's one of those things where just kind of like they reference it once or twice or something, and it's just kind of there, and they kind of leave it to care about it.
It's like it's so many things happening for you to be able to focus time on it, because what's the guy that has the ability of being able to have like sound waves that come out of this?
Shinsu, I think.
Yeah, because he was like, this is a problem. Like anybody in this room could be one of the moles. And then somebody's rebuttal, well, you could be the mole. And it's like,
oh, sorry, you mean the teacher? Sorry, I said the wrong person.
Yeah, one of the teachers. And I was like, this is a huge problem, because no matter what they do, like the villains ultimately are trying to break the public perception of what heroes could or should be, their morale and everything. And it's like, if somebody is still leaking this kind of information, like there's no telling what could happen next. Like that's how Bakugo got kidnapped, because somebody leaked the information. So I mean, it bothers me a lot, even though they don't bring it up.
It was also really cool that they handled it. Like, look, even the thought of there being a mole could do as much damage if there is a mole or isn't a mole. So how do you handle that? I mean, this is something that's like really big in the community, because there's been a lot of theories about how it's probably maybe it's the principal because maybe he hates humans because of the experiments that were done on him. Maybe it's the French kid because he disappeared during the attack on
Oyama. Yeah.
On the rescue during the rescue arc when they were in the rescue. Oh crap! Who was the? You know what I'm talking about, where there was the rescue area, they were trying to rescue different environments, and they got attacked.
Yeah.
And he disappeared, and he kept saying, "You want to know where I was? You want to know where I was?" Like he had an excuse already, but no one cared. So there's a lot of debates about it. I think they just seed the ground, and we'll get a payoff eventually. I mean,
yeah,
it's such great storytelling because we don't have all the perspectives. We don't know everything.
Yeah.
It's some Game of Thrones level stuff. You know what I mean? Like, who is the spy? Who is this person's father? Why is Deku's doctor as a kid the same doctor helped in All for One? Like, oh, what about the doctor's grandkids? How come the first Namu with the wings has the same wings as the doctor's grandkid? Like, all these different seeds that are planted or weaved throughout this this story is just so nice. We don't know who Deku's father is.
True. That's a fact. We didn't see the dude.
Right, because he's like, oh, he's the. I know one theory was that it might be Endeavor, because Endeavor has fire powers, and they said his father had fire powers. But now they think the Dobby kid might be related to Endeavor.
I was actually gonna do a video on that. Is he related to? I think he is still.
So I mean, there's so much web. I love mythology. I love backstory. Like, you don't feel like the world just started when you started watching the episode. And there's so much here. There's so much you could do about every episode has such things weaving into the tapestry of the background.
Facts.
Yeah. Even like Bakugo, we haven't seen any of his parents. Like, we don't know anything about Bakugo other than his small time that he related with Deku. And I don't know, man. It's very mysterious, but the show is playing the long game. It's playing the long game in terms of, like you said, Game of Thrones. It's just gonna be interesting to see where all this goes. But I don't want to take too much time though. So, what is your closing thoughts on this episode? What would you give it as a rating number, and what was your favorite scene that you'll never forget? Because I mean, I feel like this is one of the pinnacle episodes of the series in general. So,
yeah, I'd say that this was probably the best episode of the series, not just the season. I'd say top 3 of the series for me personally. It was a work of art, honestly. From the writing, the build-up, the origin story with the sensei, the big reveals like Tomoro Shigaraki is the grandson of his mentor. All of that packed into this one episode where it was just the end of an era. So to me, this episode was like a 10 out of 10 for me personally. I don't really give ratings like that, but this was, I think, a series defining episode. If you didn't like My Hero before this episode, this is one that should have sold you that this is the one. This is a top tier anime that's gonna go down in history. But that's just my 2 cents. Oh, Anthony, volume.
So I like to drink, and I cracked open a beer to watch this episode. It was in the morning. Don't judge me. I like to cook, so I made me a nice like spread out breakfast. I was ready for this, right? I didn't touch a bite and didn't take a sip the whole time through because I was just into it, man. I think that for him to be inspired by Western comics and make this series and get what you know what I mean? Like, All Might's what Captain America is in Marvel. All Might is what Superman should have been in these DC movies. I'm not trying to get into debates. Don't hate me.
Jeez.
But it should have been in these DC movies where it's inspirational. And to actually have somebody do that in only 49 episodes, where you felt you were cheering with the crowd and get that emotion going on, where, like, man, you can't ask for anything better than this. I texted Sam once, like, you could have fight parties around My Hero Academia if it was, like, a little longer. Like, I definitely could have fight party around the movies because I'm just expecting it. But it's also, you go there for the drama and the emotion. Like I said, there was only like 3 or 4 punches thrown in this episode. What we're feeling is all the emotional weight and emotional hits that they delivered, and they landed. They landed. And even before this episode, I know I'm going long, I'm wrapping it up, but even before this episode, when it showed how the kids reacted when they were in the presence of All for One, and they showed how, like, no, this is serious. We don't know how to deal with this. Is death. We are facing death right now. There's no hope of fighting this solution, fighting our way out out this issue. So yeah, 10 out of 10. I mean, if you have somebody who's not in the anime, if you have somebody that isn't in the cartoony type stuff because they don't think they can deliver drama and passion and feelings, Full Metal Alchemist and My Hero Academia will bring it. And like I said, it's the evolution of the Shonen Jump genre for us. And DC Marvel, if you're watching, somebody's on your tails, they're on your bumper, like they are on your
bro. Facts.
Shoot, man, this show carries so much weight for the general population that people just don't really understand. Like, probably by next time's Comic-Con, they're gonna have their own like big panel that people are just gonna be rallying behind, especially now that they got a movie coming out the woodworks. But yeah, for me, it was definitely a 10 out of 10 episode. It was emotional. It had weight. It had significance. And I think one thing I didn't get a chance to talk about is that this was inspiring. I felt legitimately coming out of this episode inspired. I felt like this is something to rally behind. You know what I'm saying? And I think that any cartoon, anime, whatever you want to call it, any form of art that can do that, it's going to stand the test of time just as long as they continue to push what they're doing. And so I thought it was a great episode. Any of you guys that haven't seen it or are in part of the chat right now, definitely go start from episode 1. You won't be disappointed. I think it's on Hulu. It's definitely on Crunchyroll. It's on Funimation.
Some people said it's a slow start. Some people said it's a slow start, but get past those 2 episodes that kind of build up what the world is. And then it just goes.
Yeah. Definitely by 4 episodes in, you're like, it gets going.
Yeah, and every season ending so far has been worth it. Like
absolutely
every season ending, and you're gonna be telling yourself when you have trouble like getting through something, like, man, I need to go plus ultra. Like,
bro, there's absolutely no way you're watching season 2 and you're gonna stop watching that show.
Not at all. And you're gonna find something in your life you were lazy about and be like, man, I need to work a little harder at this.
That's real.
Fact.
Inspirational.
That's so real. But you guys, we're gonna stop right here. We gotta actually head out of here. Maybe we can make this a more weekly thing. Maybe each Sunday around the same time. Just because these episodes are so much, it takes time to unpack them. So 24-hour turnaround will give us a little bit more time to process what we had to do, put our reactions up, do our reviews. So hopefully I can have these guys up. Trophy Muncher, I know you're in the chat right now. We want you here. You are part of the group officially too, man. But yeah, thanks you guys for coming out. Go down to the description bar below. You can check out Failwhale34, his YouTube channel and his Twitter. Definitely check out Anthony, the drunk geek, I think. And check him out in the description bar below. He's got a YouTube page as well. I think he had a review for a Deadpool 2 just recently. But thank you guys for coming, man.
Thanks, everyone.
We're out.
Plus Ultra.